Okay, good morning. I hope you guys had a great 3-day weekend. We're going to go ahead and look at your next task here. We're going to start looking at histograms. You guys did a statistical problem solving project already, turn that in. And in that, you guys kind of learned that you guys are going to ask an interesting question. And then the second part is organizing your data. So today we're going to look at that first portion of organizing our data. We're kind of building up to you asking an interesting question and then kind of analyzing it, interpreting some data. So we're going to look at that through how to create histograms on Desmos. Last week, at the end of the week, you guys did some Khan Academies, and you guys probably learned a couple different words in here. And you guys learned about the peak, and for a histogram, that's really going to be our center. That's what we're going to talk about, our center. It's where the most is. The range is going to be kind of where the lowest to the highest, and that's going to really involve you talking about whether you want to include an outlier or not. Which way is it tailed? Is it skewed to the left? Is it left-tailed? Is it skewed to the right? Is it right-tailed? And any outliers. So you guys are going to talk about that, looking at a couple different things, and not that one. Again, not that one. We'll get to it. But you guys are going to be looking at a couple of different sets and analyzing and doing all that. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to make a histogram in Desmos. So the link in Classroom has you go to desmos.com. It'll look like this. I often use a lot of the other things, but you guys are going to go ahead and just hit start graphing. On here, there's a lot of different things. If you go over and you hit the wrench, there's a lot of settings. We'll actually look at these labels in a second. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can go home and work on that. But what we want to do is over here. So first off, to get a histogram, one thing we need is a set of data. So I'm going to look at this set of data for the weight of the blue M&Ms. We kind of did a lot of these by hand in my other class, and so I want to just look at how we do that. So I took a bunch of blue M&Ms, and we have them in here. So all we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of those, and then right click or Control C, do whatever we need to do to copy those. So now they're in there, and then we go to Desmos, and the first thing we have to do is name it. We don't want to name it something like Y because there's already a Y-axis. We don't want to name it something like X because there's already an X-axis. We're going to name it something, I don't know, I'm going to say B for blue M&Ms equals, and then I'm going to do Control Paste. A couple things you want to see is first off that it has those brackets. And then it has this idea of, it tells you that how many elements are in the list. So I weigh 29 blue M&Ms. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to say, what do we want to make? Well, I want to make a histogram. So we're going to write out histogram. See how it changes just to normal text, not italicized. That's what we want. And then after histogram, we're going to do parentheses. And it's going to say data set. And so what data set do I want to do? I want to do B. And then right now, the bin set is 1, but if you guys look at the data, it's all between like 0.75 and 1. So of course, if I just have 1 in there, it's all going to be in there. So my bin width is how wide it is on here. And so I'm going to choose a bin width of 0.025. And it's all really tight in here. We can't really see a lot of it. But right over here, let me move this screen. You guys have this idea of the plus. And so that's a zoom fit. I'm going to hit zoom fit, and it makes it a lot better. And you guys, we can now talk about this quite a bit. We can go ahead and we can say, the first thing we want to look at was the center. And so if I look at this, I'm going to say the center is between here and here. I can make a good guess on that. It looks like it's going to be between maybe 0.81 to 0.86, just kind of give me a good range on there. I'm choosing both of those because they're both the same peak. You might argue right here that it's symmetrical right here, these two, and so it kind of has that, so give it a right tail. And so the M&Ms are kind of tailed to being heavier. And maybe that's something they actually do. But then look at this guy out here. So I look at that gap and I see and say there's an outlier. I may not want to include that outlier, and so I would probably say my range is between 0.96 and 0.78. That's what I would kind of say my range is. I'm not going to include that outliers or something that I don't normally include in my ranges. But if you do, just make sure you guys say that. The last thing you guys are going to do is on here is if you hit the settings, the y-axis is always how many M&Ms. I had 5 M&Ms in this category. But the x-axis is what we're looking at differently. So I'm going to label it. I'm going to say weight of blue M&Ms. And now, when I come down here, I have that beautiful weight. And then I can go ahead and I can type in my search bar. I can type in snipping tool. Hit that snipping tool. Hit the new button. Come down, grab all of this, right click, copy, and then when I go to paste it in here, I can actually paste my chart right in there and it'll look beautiful. So that's what you guys are going to be working on. As you guys are going through this, a couple things that I want you to look for is you guys will have a Google spreadsheet of bear weight. You guys will have a Google spreadsheet of chocolate chips and pulse. So go through, enter them all, do one of the bin size 20, and so that's again changing this value to 20. And then one of the bin size of your choice, pasting both of them. Talk about what's different, in your opinion, which one's easier, but then going back to the one I selected, talk about what the center is, what the spread, what the shape, and what the outliers. I want to highlight one thing in here. Use complete sentences, and if the histogram is talking about bears, use bears, and the center weight for bears is here, the spread of bears is this, the shape of the bear weight is bears tend to be a little heavier, I don't know, whatever it is. There's a bear that weighs this much, that's an outlier. So use those values on there. This is an assignment that shouldn't be too bad to do. But again, if you guys need any help, make sure you're reaching out and let me know. Have a good day.